Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers, coming to you immediately after we recorded the previous podcast. But Connor, as you'll notice, I changed sweatshirts and put on a hat because I'm committed to the bit.
And if you noticed, one of my lights went out behind me as soon as we were done recording the other one, and I'm not changing it. So it looks like a different day. I'm not getting up on the ladder and doing the skylight, the hi-hat bulb right now. We're just doing the pod. I was joking to Trevor that I look like a legit YouTuber where the set background's really dark, all the lights on me. So we'll roll with that. But yes, we have fooled everybody. This is a brand new day, a brand new show.
Very narcissistic lighting of you, Connor.
Yes, it's all about me. It's not about anything behind me or in front of me.
We're obviously having fun here on the show as we are going through the next, 45-ish minutes, updating the 2023 NFL draft order. We do this every single week in the middle of the week podcast, but Connor, it feels like we have a lot of new storylines for this one. Maybe not completely changing at the top, but things are getting very close, right? We'll start with the Houston Texans. Houston Texans at number one overall. They've been at number one overall for, I don't even know how many weeks, 10, 11 weeks now. So haven't had a ton to talk about there, but my friend, they won this past weekend. They beat the Tennessee Titans, which means they get one more win. They're sitting here at 2-12-1. The Chicago Bears right on their heels at 3-12, picking number 2 overall. So I know that we're going to talk about that a little bit, but still have the Seattle Seahawks picking at number 3 because of the Denver Broncos. Shoot, they just fired Nathaniel Hackett, so maybe they'll get the interim head coach boost over the next 2 weeks, but certainly looks like Seattle's going to be picking in the top 5 regardless. Arizona Cardinals, because of their loss this past weekend, they're also 4-11. They're picking number 4 overall. Colts at number 5. Atlanta's at 6. Detroit via the Los Angeles Rams at number 7. Carolina's sitting there at 8. Vegas is at 9. And the Philadelphia Eagles round out the top 10. We'll get into the rest of the order in a little bit. But Connor, where do you want to start today as we kind of open up this conversation about what the NFL draft is looking like for 2023?
I think it's a good time to start with the number 1 overall pick and discuss the scenario of what if the Texans sneak out one more win and what if the Bears don't win another game, right? I think it's a fair conversation because the Bears travel to Detroit and then they host the Vikings. Obviously, 2 tough outs. And let's just be real. The Bears haven't been winning games, right? Like they've
been close.
They have been. They've been competitive. There's no denying that. But okay, so they got smoked by the Bills. They lost a close one to the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to Green Bay. They got smoked by the Jets. They lost to the Falcons in a close one. They lost to the Lions by a point. So maybe that game will be a lot closer than I personally expected. But the point is, say the Bears do, and Bears fans are probably like, sign me up. We'll take the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
For 2 more losses. They're like, we're not offended. The Texans, it gets a little more interesting. As you pointed out to me on the What Matters Most show, Trevor, one of the Texans' wins was against Jacksonville. They played Jacksonville Sunday. But more importantly, they played the Nick Foles-led Colts.
Vaunted.
To end the season.
Vaunted.
Let's say the Texans finish 3-13-1. The Bears ultimately finish 3-14. The Bears pick number 1. I'll throw it to you like this, Trevor. How does that change the beginning of the NFL draft?
Massively, right? Because I don't think it necessarily changes the conversation of what these teams might be picking, right? I think they're going for different things. Chicago Bears are not going to be selecting a quarterback in this upcoming draft. They have Justin Fields, so whether they're picking 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, they're not going to take a quarterback. I'd be very shocked if they took a quarterback. It feels like Houston is, but we've even talked here before on this show. Bryce Young's not going to be for everybody. He's a much smaller, I'll say compact quarterback who has a lot of really exciting film, and he's truly just a natural at the position that is so fun to watch, so fun to root for. And I feel like there are going to be plenty of teams that love him, but there's going to be plenty of teams that if they're threshold heavy, might not consider Bryce Young as high as his talent and his success over the last couple of years would definitely warrant. So then if you're the Bears, I bring up another conversation that we've had a couple of weeks ago, but it's different now. Trading back, because Trading back with the number 2 overall pick, the number 3 overall pick, is a lot different than getting to say the number 1 overall selection in this draft is for sale. Come and get it. Take any player you want in this entire draft class. If you think Jalen Carter is the next Warren Sapp, kind of an interior penetrator, unreal dude, come and get it. If you think Will Anderson is the next great pass rusher in this league, come and get him. And then, of course, if you want Will Levis, if you want Bryce Young, if you want CJ Stroud, if you want whoever it is that might be in contention for that number 1 quarterback spot in this year's class, come and get him. Don't risk it. Don't sit behind any team. Don't wait for another team to move up to come get a quarterback. Come get him. And I just feel like the price and the conversation of saying we will trade you number 1 overall only benefits the Chicago Bears even more for the price that it could be for a team to move up to go and get their guy.
It changes everything in a sense that you could see a full-fledged auction for the number 1 overall pick. Now, what I will counter with is, unless it's a pick flip with Houston to get back up to 1 to be assured they get the quarterback that they want, I can make an argument that Chicago could just sit right there and take Will Anderson. Honestly, with the state of this defense right now and the need of a star player on that defense for Matt Eberflus, I know they're going to have to take every call, as they should. They will have to see if somebody will meet an absurd price to come up to number 1. And if they get this war chest of draft picks, then sure. But I think it's a fine line, Trevor, of passing on that kind of talent, who I think is the best player in the draft, Will Anderson. I really do. And that's still a great place for Chicago to be, to come out of this draft and go, because let's be real, we aren't positive that Houston at number 1 is going to pass on Will Anderson. As you've said before, and we've said, they might not like Levis or Bryce or CJ Stroud, or might not love them. Maybe they get into the veteran quarterback market. Let's not forget, Nick Caserio was in New England when Jimmy G was there. And I'm not saying Jimmy G's the plan, but I'm saying you never know.
Connecting the dots.
Maybe they go, we'll go get a Jimmy G. We'll go get a Derek Carr. Something like that. And we'll ride this out with a veteran at quarterback because we want to take the best player in the draft in Will Anderson. If you're Chicago, all the fears of that are gone and you get him. So it's a big deal. It's a really big deal how this ends for these two teams. And then the fun really gets started after that point of the draft, because I think the player pool becomes a little bit more tightly knit together.
Is the last time a team traded up for number 1 overall the 2001 draft for Vic?
No, it'd be Goff.
Oh, right. There was Goff. I was trying to think of who would have been most recently, and it was Goff, because my head was immediately going way too far back. I totally forgot about the Goff trade. Yeah, because what was the package in the Goff trade?
I'll pull it up right now.
Okay, because I think I want to see the details in that, because I remember like the Eli Manning.
That was the Titans that had the number 1 pick, right? I believe so.
Yes.
The Rams traded up in the first round and acquired the first pick from the Tennessee Titans.
Yes.
It would be great if the actual trade was here. I have to go to the don't you love that?
Love that. Oh. I was thinking about it. The Eli Manning trade technically doesn't count.
I got it.
Because Manning had already been drafted. But then I have that trade detail up. It was Phillip Rivers, which is the 4th pick, the first pick in the 3rd round that year, later in the draft, and then a 1st-round pick the next year, and then a 5th-round pick the next year in order to get Eli Manning. So technically they traded for the guy who was drafted number 1 overall, but it was like an NBA trade.
Because Archie wouldn't let Eli go to the Chargers.
Right. Which is phenomenal. Just to go back and watch the drama of that. So what was the price? What was the price of the Goff trade?
So this year we both had the number 1 and number 2 pick traded. I remember this was one of my first. This is like my 3rd year at Bleacher Report, and I remember covering it live. So the Chargers came up to Tennessee's number 1 pick. Tennessee traded the number 1 overall pick, their 4th and 6th round picks, which were 113 and 177.
So a 1, 4, and a 6.
1, 4, and a 6.
Yep.
To the Rams for the Rams' first round pick, 2 second rounders. So these picks were 15, 43, 45, and a third round pick that year. So they got 15, 43, 45, 76, as well as the Rams' first and third round selections in the next draft, 2017.
Okay. And that was to move how many spots?
15 to 1.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Dude, 15 to 1's a lot.
Now, can you argue?
Oh, I can always argue, but go on.
That it all worked out because not only did they get to a Super Bowl with Goff, but they made him part of the package that they flipped for Stafford that won them the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah. However you want to slice it, the Jared Goff trade was worth it. However you want to slice it, it was.
Now, one that was not. That draft, the Eagles came. Well, this is also an interesting one too. The Eagles came up to the Browns' number 2 selection.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns traded that pick and a conditional 5th that year that eventually was upgraded, I think, to a 4th to Philly in exchange for Philly's first round, third round, and fourth round selections, as well as Philly's first and second round pick
the following year.
First rounder was 2017. Second rounder was 2018.
Okay. Yeah. They
a little more complicated, that one.
Sure.
For Wentz.
That one.
They won a Super Bowl.
No. You can't do that. No, we can't do this. We cannot do that.
He's calling timeout.
I'm calling timeout on this one. I know that Wentz was having an MVP caliber season that year, but they won it after he got hurt, and they won it with Nick Foles. We cannot.
Who all plays into this year's draft because he plays the Texans the final week of the season.
It's all about Nick Foles, people. It's all about Nick Foles. This
Last
microphone
circle.
is Nick Foles. We're just rotating around Nick Foles.
He's the NFL Globe.
He is. We're all just revolving around his gravitational pull. No, that was very interesting because there's just not a lot of instances where teams will trade up to number 1 overall. I feel like it's such a vaunted proposition. Like there's just so much weight to it. Trading up to the very first pick in the draft. You have your pick of anyone, could be any player. And I just think that ultimately puts a premium on it. And it's clear that no matter how far you were jumping up, where were the Eagles that year? Do you remember? I don't remember off the top of my head. Where were the Eagles picking to move up to number 2?
I think 17.
Because the Rams moved up from, that does sound about right in the middle of the pack. Because the Rams moved up obviously 14 spots, and then the Eagles moving up 15 spots.
They were 8th.
Oh, I thought they were a lot further down.
I thought they were too. They were 8th.
Okay. So it seems like the asking price really isn't going to change too much. You look at teams that could possibly move up to number 1, right? I'm just kind of brainstorming in my head right now. Chicago's sitting at 1. Houston's sitting at 2. Let's say that that's the case. I mean, even if you're Arizona or Indianapolis, you got to give up multiple ones.
Yeah, and
you got to give up one this year, and that's only dropping to like number 4, number 5. I feel like no matter what, I feel like in today's NFL draft, you really can't even get up into the top 3 without talking about multiple first round picks, like even as far as 4 or 5. Do you agree? Like,
I totally agree.
So if Chicago's sitting there at number 1 and calls up, I mean, Arizona probably wouldn't do it, but like Indianapolis is sitting there at number 5. And all Chicago has to do is go down to number 5, a deal that I feel like Chicago would take. You're still saying, okay, you're going to have number 5 overall this year and you're going to have a first round pick next year. Now, you're probably not going to get, the condiments or the dressing on top of the 3rd round pick, the 5th round pick, all of that stuff that you get later in the draft. I think Indianapolis will tell you, no. We're giving you 2 first round picks.
Yeah,
you can you can screw off with the other stuff. But I do still feel like it would take 2 first round picks for him.
I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah. Wow. Well, back to your point about the contenders to go up to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Colts at 5.
Yep.
Atlanta at 6.
Yeah, if Atlanta really want, like if Atlanta was said to themselves, we want Bryce Young. We've watched Bryce Young play in this building for SEC
That makes
championships.
so much sense.
You know, like he's played at Alabama. He's already played big games at the building. Like obviously a lot of people down south have watched plenty of Bryce Young over the last couple of years at Alabama. Would Atlanta, who is sitting at 6, give up their first rounder this year, first rounder next year to go up and get Bryce?
Yeah, they should.
I think you probably do if you're Atlanta.
Keep in mind too, when you're making trades and decisions like this, ownership comes into play so often, and Arthur Blank, I think, is the no-brainer like guy that would sign off on that kind of move. I think it ignites the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
You have the local connection of Bryce playing for the Falcons. Arthur Smith's going into year 3. It's, poop or get off the pot time at quarterback. I don't think Arthur Smith wants to go down with Desmond Ridder. You'd love if Desmond Ridder develops into the guy, but you don't want to make that your one swing. The Falcons make a hell of a lot of sense to me.
Sitting at 6, they definitely
Sitting
do.
at 6.
What's the Falcons' remaining schedule? Who do they play this week coming up? Oh, they play the Cardinals.
Oh my God, dude. We have a toilet bowl.
Dude, it's huge. This game's huge.
Massive.
Falcons are sitting at the 4th overall pick. Falcons are sitting there at 6, and the Cardinals are sitting there at 4.
Yeah, they
my goodness. It's huge. And then then the Falcons end the year by hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which gosh, could be a win.
No guarantees.
Goddamn right, there's no guarantees. Carolina's sitting there today. Carolina's in a very interesting spot at number 8, right? Because for as well as the team is performing, they still need a quarterback no matter what. And I got kind of nervous because on Sunday I was thinking about scenarios for the Carolina Panthers. And I was like, oh no, are they going to convince themselves they might be like okay with Darnold? Like if
he's a free agent, but
if they really go in. But I forgot that he's a free agent.
Yep.
So you're not really extending that olive branch, I don't think, to Sam Darnold at all. I think both of them are going to move on there no matter what. But things do kind of get tricky if you're Carolina, because Carolina needs what? Quarterback 100%.
And an owner that really wants one. Remember, they were in on Deshaun Watson. They made a big trade for Sam Darnold.
Yep.
They traded for Baker Mayfield. You have an ownership situation that's obsessed with figuring it out.
They're picking 8 right now, but they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend, and whoever wins that game goes to first place.
Oh my God.
Carolina would go from picking number 8 in the draft to picking number 20. And
That's insane.
And Tampa, I think, would go down to number 10 or 9, I guess. Wouldn't be.
If Carolina wins the division, they probably bring back Sam Darnold next year. Because you could still draft someone, but like you have to have a veteran on the roster going into next year because you're not even picking in a range close. So go with the guy that you know. Ooh.
I think if you're Carolina, Carolina really does hold a lot of power in this NFL draft because
up and down.
They desperately need a quarterback if they're going to be within range of one. I will just say that there is Bryce Young, Will Levis, CJ Stroud, and I'm going to throw Anthony Richardson in there.
I'm with you.
I think those 4 quarterbacks go in the top 20, could very well be top 15. We'll see how things kind of shake out. We'll learn a lot more about what the NFL really thinks of these guys. When we get to the Senior Bowl, get to have some conversations, go to the Combine, have some conversations there. We learn a lot more about what the league really thinks of these guys then. But I'll just say that I think all 4 of those guys are gone before pick 20. If Carolina is sitting there and they're picking it like 19 or 20, they're on the fringe of that. There's no guarantee that they still have that opportunity to pick one of those guys. So if you're at 20, does Carolina all of a sudden become one of those teams that is in on Jimmy G,
you have
Derek Carr,
you have to be.
Daniel Jones, dare I say, Lamar Jackson, even though I don't think Lamar.
We know they'll go for big fish, but I just don't. Just Baltimore just can't.
That presents an interesting opportunity in, well, I wouldn't say opportunity. I guess I'd say situation in Carolina, because I think there are a lot of Panthers fans that love what Steve Wilkes is doing. But does he win you too many games to get out of drafting a quarterback? Does he?
Yes.
Does he? Is it potential that the Carolina Panthers could be in QB purgatory if they end up making the playoffs? Because that's tough too.
Yeah, and they got the Saints at the end of the year. So even if they lost to the Bucks, I still think they beat the Saints.
Yeah, they could beat the Saints.
I feel like you tack on another win.
But if they beat the Saints, then the Saints right now are 6-9. The Carolina Panthers are 6-9. I still think Carolina's probably picking around 10.
Yeah. That's even not good for them.
Well, I mean, I guess if they lose 2, then they could potentially be, 6, something like that.
The quarterback volatility in this draft, the Texans, I'll go with the really safe ones. So I won't include the Seahawks because I think they just signed Geno. The Texans, the Colts, the Falcons. I won't even include the Lions. The Panthers, the Raiders, the Titans, which I don't really think that, but you never know. That's 6 teams in the top 13. New England at 14. That's 7. The Jets at 15, who are definitely going to go for a veteran, but still are in the quarterback. I'm counting free agency with the draft. How many, the game of musical chairs. That's 8 teams in the top 15 that have quarterback variants going into the offseason. And I didn't count some pretty big ones.
All right, can I do a spontaneous, off the top of my head, top 5 mock draft right here?
Please, let it rip.
All right. Bryce Young still at 1.
Okay.
Will Anderson goes 2 to Chicago. Jalen Carter goes 3 to the Seattle Seahawks. Brian Brzee goes 4 to the Arizona Cardinals.
We haven't been off the path yet. And number 5 is really easy.
And of course, Will Levis is already a Colt.
He's already a Colt. He's been a Colt for months. You heard it on this podcast first.
It's the bit. It's the bit that's going to become true at the end of April. Will Levis already a Colt. Doesn't even have to change colors for his team. There we go. That was off the top of my head, spontaneous. I almost went with Tyree Wilson at number 4 because it feels like the NFL it feels like the people who are plugged in, the guys who are in the league, really like Tyree Wilson.
Yeah, he's going high.
I don't know, brother. We did the edge rush episode. If you guys didn't listen to that, go back and listen to it. I lay out why I am concerned about Tyree Wilson, but it seems as though the NFL really believes that this guy is just truly a rare mold that you have to bet on. And that part of it I'll agree with. I think he's a ways away from being a difference-making NFL player, but I almost thought about him at number 4.
I mean, I liked him, and I still have him at edge 4. Right. You know what I mean? And I liked him, but I think Will Anderson, Jared Verse, and Miles Murphy are all better prospects than Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
I thought there was actually a pretty good gap from those 3.
Yes. I would certainly agree. Clearly, I think I had Tyree Wilson as edge 7.
And we didn't even do D tackles yet. I could already tell you I'm going to be very high on Brzee.
He is another one who is just built different, man.
Totally.
The size speed combo is pretty nuts.
100%. So I would have went Brzee at 4 all the way for Arizona, especially with JJ Watt out the door.
Yeah.
They're going to have serious front 7 needs. And I think it's a great pick for them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to have offensive line needs as well. I especially think on the interior, but I just don't think for as much as you could say to yourself, all right, DJ Humphries, they like him at left tackle when he's healthy. Josh Jones has played well as a right tackle. It's fine. You could draft Peter Skoronski and you could play him on the interior and then kick him out to offensive tackle if you ever have that need over the next couple of years. Are you drafting a guard at 4? Doesn't seem like a great proposition, especially for, I think, whoever is going to be calling the shots in Arizona, because I don't think it's going to be this current regime. But all right, there we go.
Which is good. That's a good step forward.
That's a much needed step forward. no matter what. Connor, can I ask you a question?
Please.
What if I told you that right now you could invest in Brian Brzez's stock as a player?
I'd be buying.
You'd be buying.
Not short selling.
You'd be buying. No question about it. Well, you can't do that quite yet. But when Brian Brzee becomes an NFL player, you will be able to do that, because now such a question is not a what if. Now it's a who's next. Mojo, the all-new sports stock market, lets you invest in your favorite athletes and cash in on your passions. You can sign up right now on the Apple App Store to get your first stock for free, which if you hit it early and you hit it big, could be worth up to $10,000. Over 300 NFL players are currently listed on Mojo, so you can invest in rookies like Breece Hall, if you love the comeback story for him, Drake London, guys that are already established, rising stars like a Kyle Pitts, if he's going to have a big bounce back year, sometimes comeback candidates like a Saquon Barkley or Geno Smith that we've seen this year, superstars like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, everybody's on the table. Go long and make your money when an underrated diamond in the rough breaks out, or you can short sell an overrated rival like Connor was talking about, and you can make money if guys are flopping too. You can do that as well. Prices move with every play, every game, every headline. You can buy and sell instantly, anytime, all year long, so the action never stops. Mojo's live in New Jersey right now, so download Mojo in the Apple App Store today. Start turning those playmakers into money makers. Must be 21 years or older to use Mojo, and located in the great state of New Jersey to make trades. If you have a gambling problem, help is available at 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit mojo.com for more info. We also have a sponsor for this podcast, our friends over at Brothrow. Let me set up a scenario for you. Sitting on the couch with your buddies, throwing back a few cold ones. You're watching the game. It's coming down to the wire. You're like, there's no way this team wins. Your buddy on the other side of the couch is like, you're out of your mind. This team's been in control the whole game. They're going to take away the victory. I'll bet you $5 on it. And you go, all right, bet. Well, now you can do that from anywhere. Brothrow is the only sports betting platform that allows you to bet directly with your friends in all 50 states. And the best part, no fees, no juice, no middleman. It is not a sports book, and not paying juice saves you a ton of money over time. Brothrow is just a social platform. You can take control of who you're betting with, know who's on the other side of every bet you create or accept, and you can easily create and accept bets, track your profits and payments, always see the value of your bets live. You also don't even have to directly deposit money into a Brothrow account. Bettors pay each other directly. Connect your Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Skrill Strike, whatever. Betting $11 to win 10 like you do with normal sports books stinks, okay? With Brothrow, you bet $10, you win $10. It's just like a friendly wager between two pals. Throw out your first bet, go to brothrow.com/stock. Use the promo code STOCK. Brothrow is free to sign up for. You can cut out the middleman, start betting on Brothrow. That is brothrow.com/stock. All right, Connor, where are we going next? We going outside the top 10? You want to read off the remainder, 10 through 20? We can talk a little bit about that.
Yep, 10 through 20 starts with the Philadelphia Eagles holding the Saints draft pick.
Hilarious.
11 goes to the Texans, undeniably hilarious. 11 goes to the Houston Texans via the Deshaun Watson trade for the Browns. So you got Eagles, Texans back to back 10 to 11. 12 is Seattle holding their original pick right now. 13 is the Titans. 14 is the Patriots. 15 is the Jets. 16 is the Steelers. 17 is the Green Bay Packers. 18 is the Detroit Lions. And then the two current playoff teams that are in the top 20, Jacksonville at 19 and the Bucks at 20.
Titans, man.
Ooh.
Jeez. What a fall from grace it feels like it's been for the Tennessee Titans. They've lost 5 in a row. Could end the year losing 7 straight. I think the Titans play, was it the Cowboys and the Jags to end the season? Very well be 7-10. Don't look now, man. The Titans could be picking in the top 10.
Yeah, they could hang around 8 or 9.
Ugh. Be brutal. The Titans need a wide receiver badly.
They need a freaking offensive lineman, though, too.
They do need offensive line.
Real bad.
I think if they're picking in the top 10, they're going to go offensive line.
And they'll get the wide receiver on day 2.
And I think you go get the wide receiver on day 2. Yeah. I think that's probably the right strategy.
They can't start Dennis Daly next year. They can't. They got
Yeah.
to go get offensive line help.
I
Now
think it's got to be offensive lineman.
yeah, it's got to be. That could be Skoronski territory too for a guy that can kick inside outside, because they also have problems on the inside. So I think that's where the offensive line run starts, with Tennessee in the top 10 if they get there.
Can we you want to do a fun little exercise and talk dream hauls for the Houston Texans and the Seattle Seahawks as it stands right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Houston's picking at 1 and they're picking at 11. The dream haul for them? I feel like
Keeping the picks, right?
Yes.
I won't go full draft Will Anderson and figure out quarterback elsewhere on you this week.
Yeah. I feel like the dream pick is Bryce Young at 1.
Yep. I know my 11.
I think I might say Jared Verse.
Yep. That's number 11. That's very realistic.
It is realistic that you get the quarterback in the future and you get a fantastic pass rusher.
That they need.
They need. I know some people are going to be tempted at wide receiver. Some people are going to be tempted to say either Jordan Addison or Quinn Johnston. I think they're within the conversation because Houston desperately needs a go-to difference maker in the passing game.
Man, I hope John Mechie comes back and is ready to roll, man, from cancer.
I know. I love John Mechie.
They really,
so good.
And obviously he caught the toughest break of anyone, but that was a tough blow for the Texans. I mean, we get on here and say, they got no playmakers. Well, the guy they took in the second round is battling cancer now.
Yeah,
that's tough.
It is.
So
it is. No, that is. I certainly hope for so many people's sake, first and foremost, John Mechie's that he's able to come back, because I loved his early tape at Alabama, and I think that he could be a really good wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and a big time difference maker once they kind of fill out that wide receiver room in Houston. So would love for him to come back. So all right, so Bryce Young, Jared Verse there. Seattle 3-12. I'll let you go first on this one. Seattle 3-12. What would be your dream haul here?
Jalen Carter at 3.
I would agree. I think it's got to be Jalen Carter at 3. There's a couple different directions they could go with 12.
12 gets super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So Jamal Adams will be back next year.
Yep.
They got young corn. You know what? Across from Tariq Woolen, I would think Porter, Gonzalez. Yeah, I think that's where I'm looking for this one.
That's where I'm going too, man.
They've done a really good job building the offense and developing the offensive line. You got a stud running back for the future. They're deep at tight end. I know Will Disley just went on the IR today, but they're deep at tight end. They got Lockett under contract. They got DK there. You can get a third wide receiver in another day of the draft. You're going to re-sign Geno. You added Jalen Carter to the front that needs a ton of help. You're set at safety. Jamal Adams and Diggs. It's got to be corner. It's got to be corner. It's got to be.
I think corner's strong. Like, obviously, like, even, if Keely Ringo makes it to 12, Cam Smith's in that conversation too, I think from South Carolina.
I think they take one of the big guys. I think it would be Gonzalez or Porter.
Oh, dude, that'd be so much fun.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. You tried out 2 mammoth corners. You got Gonzalez 6'2".
That'd be sick.
He's 6'2". He's going to run in the 4.3s.
Kobe could play in the slot.
You can kick him around. Joey Porter 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
Not going to test like Gonzalez, but obviously is great on playing the ball. Yeah, it's Jalen Carter in a corner.
Other one that I'd think about is maybe pass rusher. Like, if you wanted to double dip, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you go get an edge.
Because defensive line's not great. Now they drafted Boye Mafe, so Mafe's still there. Now, like, obviously, I think that Seattle would love Miles Murphy. Yeah. Not so sure he lasts to 12.
He will not be there.
Even in a dream scenario. Nolan Smith is somebody who I think of, who they might like, but would they want 2 more speed rushers on the outside? Because, like I said, you've got Mafe already. Would you want Nolan Smith, knowing that he's a smaller edge rusher? Or would you want something different?
They're the team that takes Tyree.
Yeah, they would.
I don't think he actually makes it to 12, but they're the team that takes Tyree. They love that kind of player.
He should make it to 12.
He should. That's a much better landing spot than him going in the top 8.
Yeah.
So let's assume Will Anderson's gone.
Yep.
I'm just doing edges right now. Miles Murphy is gone, and Verse is probably gone, but could be there. Certainly could be. But for the sake of the argument, let's take them 3 out of it right away.
Yeah.
They're the team that takes Tyree Wilson.
Probably. Oh, by the way, I watched Keon White from Georgia Tech after the edge rush episode. Dude, he's athletically gifted, man. I mean,
for 290.
Yeah, the dude knows how to move, no doubt about it. I will say this though. I don't want to be super harsh here when I say this. The hand placement needs work. How about that?
Yeah.
How about I just say
that's
that?
Fair.
I mean, like, there are times when he's going to punch and he literally he misses the chest, he misses the shoulder entirely, and he's missing. I just hit my headphones off.
That's what he would have done to you. He would have missed your chest and hit your headphones off.
There's sometimes when he is trying to, hit the chest of these players, and he's like hitting the helmet. Like, he'll come up and he'll hit the helmet. So
which they'll call you for in the NFL.
Hand placement needs a ton of work, but Keon White, who is the redshirt senior pass rusher from Georgia Tech, 6'5", 285, 290 at times, man. He's got a 7-foot long wingspan. I mean, like, I was reading Tyree Wilson's on that last one, the 7-foot long wingspan. That would be impressive too. But he's just a physical specimen. He knows how to bull rush. I think you used the term bull in a china shop with Keon White. Like,
that probably would be right.
Erratic. But you just see the athleticism from him. He needs work, but his athletic profile is certainly something that's worth betting on. The reason why I brought him up is because we're talking about the Seahawks, and they wouldn't draft Keon White at 12 or anything, but like somewhere on day 2, I think the Seahawks would be a team that would be definitely interested in him. This is he was on the Feldman's freak list, wasn't he?
Probably.
Wasn't he? I feel like he was. Yeah. White has hit 21 miles an hour despite being almost 300 pounds.
That's absurd.
He also has a vertical jump of 32 inches at almost 300 pounds and has done 38 reps of 225 on the bench.
Man lives.
If you haven't watched him, you definitely should.
Yeah, and he was a transfer from Old Dominion, so he's been ascending and really had his best season yet in college for Georgia Tech this year.
Let's see. New England? What's New England?
New England.
14. Quarterback?
I mean...
We going all in? We going all in with quarterback for New England?
No, because I don't think anything will be here. Right? Mm-hmm. Anthony Richardson will be there. I don't see them doing that.
I think
it's also tough to know when you don't even know who the hell is going to be coaching their offense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think McDaniels is getting fired. So if you're a New England fan hoping for that reunion, I wouldn't count on it.
No.
Bill O'Brien's probably more likely.
Ooh.
I feel like that's more likely.
Ooh. I like that.
So Bill was there.
I don't hate that.
That kind of makes sense, right?
Did you just come up with that? Like, out of
no. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people like wondering.
Okay.
Is that a logical solution to fix their offensive disaster?
I think it totally is.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Now, don't you feel like if they do that, it feels more either 1, rebuild Mac Jones, or 2, sign Jimmy, or 3, hold your breath here, people, 1 last run with Tom Brady?
There's no way.
I put number 3 as like in the 1%.
Yeah. No
chance.
No. I would be. Tom Brady has shocked me in a lot of ways over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
That
shocked
would
me and ruined my childhood.
That would. Yeah, by being born. That would.
Yeah,
Him going back to New England would be
maybe up there.
He'd be number one on the power ranking of things that Tom Brady had. Him going back to New England would be would be more shocking than him being fully retired and then coming out of retirement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think that hiring Bill O'Brien to potentially salvage Mac Jones could be the move. Because O'Brien worked with Mac, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not going crazy. O'Brien's been there long enough.
They were together 1 year, Mac's year.
Right.
Mac Jones's year. Bill O'Brien was their offensive coordinator. Oh, hold on. This is what?
I thought they overlapped 1 year. Did they not?
Bill O'Brien was named offensive coordinator 2021. So no.
Oh, so no. So was he the offensive analyst though? Was he Alabama's offensive analyst?
And he was fired by the Texans in 2020. And just as he was hired as OC January 2021.
I thought he was an
I know. I feel like he did some work there after he got fired by the Texans.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. I think you're remembering that correctly.
He wasn't just doing nothing.
Well, that's always the Nick Saban thing, right? Like guys go there and rebuild themselves and.
Oh no, it didn't overlap because O'Brien was fired October 5th, 2020, and then he was hired on January 21 of 2021. So it didn't overlap. So he wasn't there for Mac. Thought he was.
Still makes sense though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so that's kind of how I look at New England. If they either hire a guy that tells us, okay, they're gonna reinvent Mac Jones. That's one option, or they go after Jimmy, who Bill has always loved. Keep that in mind. Bill Belichick loves Jimmy Garoppolo. Or they do look at the quarterbacks of this draft, which they always do anyway, but they're just not in that range. Jets at 15.
What are they doing, brother? You tell us.
I think pass rusher or offensive line. Jets are pretty easy in this sense because they're not drafting a quarterback after they colossal failure on the one they took 2 years ago. They're just going to take the vet. The Jets are in the we need to know what we're getting situation at quarterback. They're just in that situation.
Yeah.
So they'll get a vet. Like that's a given.
Who's the most? I mean, is it Jimmy?
Yeah.
Just okay.
LaFleur and him from San Francisco.
Yeah, it does make sense.
But Jimmy's gonna have options.
Do you have your like top 3 vets that you would want, not including Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, that would make it a lot easier.
I'm not giving you the out.
I'm still weighing the options in my head. I am highly intrigued by Gardner Minshew.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Highly intrigued.
Look,
when you factor in cost, upside.
Sure. He's one of the best QB2s in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, you look at his situation currently in Philadelphia and you go, like, okay, like, he wouldn't cost that much. You know, it's not like he's one of these other guys that's gonna break the bank on you. You know, like if let's just use Daniel Jones as an example, right? If you go out and you want to be like, oh, let's go get Daniel Jones as a bridge quarterback. Jones played it well enough this year to where like the bridge quarterback part of it's going to cost you a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like just we're taking a flyer on a Daniel Jones. For Gardner Minshew, it feels like offering him a full-time job is going to kind of go into it. So I can understand you being intrigued by that.
Intrigued by Minshew. I'm very intrigued by. Let me say this. I am not afraid of a training camp that is Gardner Minshew and Mike White.
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
I'm not.
Especially if Mike White finishes the year strong here. Why not?
Yeah, and then you could actually allocate the salary. Like if you sign Jimmy, who's going to cost a lot, and he gets hurt again, you're right back to square one, except that you're out of money.
They still have Mike White no matter what, right?
No.
Oh,
I know. It's much more tricky than people realize.
oh, no.
Yeah. If Mike White balls out in these next 2 games and gets the Jets to the playoffs, it's probably Mike White. Because there's no other way you could do it.
When's the last time the Jets made the playoffs?
2010. I was a freshman in college.
It would be really hard to tell the franchise we're going to move on from the quarterback that salvaged this season from Zach Wilson. I think that would be tough.
It's tough.
It'd be tough to do. I think you'd have to make him a very competitive offer to come back, be the starting quarterback for the next couple of years. And if it doesn't work next year, then you can move on and you can get really aggressive for a quarterback. But if Mike White gets him to the playoffs this year, I think that you got to roll into next season with Mike White at least being part of the equation. Like you said, maybe it's a camp battle. Maybe you can bring in a Gardner Minshew as well. But I think you gotta take a run at Mike White. That would be tough for Jets fans to stomach.
Exactly.
If not.
So knowing all of that, at 15, you kind of start to narrow your options where if they move on from Carl Lawson, they're going to need another pass rusher because he's due $15 million. None of it's guaranteed.
Are they going to? Is that likely?
I wouldn't say likely. I would say it's on the table. Then at tackle, you can't just bet the house on Becton again. Dwayne Brown's going to be 38 and going through offseason shoulder surgery. George Fant leaves in free agency and has been really bad this year, unfortunately. So O-line is right in the mix.
Yeah.
Like this is probably Broderick Jones territory. Sure. We know Joe Douglas likes the big nasties.
Maybe Paris Johnson Jr.
Paris Johnson, absolutely. If he makes it there. Who am I missing? Skoronski's gone, we think.
Skoronski's probably going to be gone.
Olu went back. Whew.
Olu
put quite the dent in this conversation, by the way.
Yeah, he kind of did. I'm excited to get to offensive tackles though.
Darnell Wright is going to be an interesting guy to watch.
Oh yeah, right tackle for Tennessee. I really like what I saw from him when I was just watching Tennessee live and some of the clips that I've seen around Twitter.
He's very good.
I do like him.
Darnell Wright's the guy that on the top of his resume gets like kept Will Anderson in check, and everyone's like, "Whoa!"
Right.
Rightly so.
That's going to be the talking point for Darnell, I think, throughout the entire offseason.
Yeah, he saw the best gauntlet of rushers this year. He saw Ojulari.
You saw Will.
He saw Will. There's one other big
They played Florida, so he
got Dexter, right?
Well, he would have seen Brian Cox Jr. and Princely. So he would have seen those edge guys.
Yeah,
because Dexter would have been more of an interior guy, so he probably wouldn't have seen.
Okay, they don't kick him out. I
don't. At least they don't. I don't think he would have lined up against Dexter very many times. No.
All right, so get ready for that conversation.
I was born ready. All right. Anything else? Anything else on the order?
No, I think that wraps up today's combo. We've been really heavy on Detroit all year with this show. Green Bay's winning. We'll go really heavy on the Steelers this offseason. They're just one of those middle of the pack teams.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm kind of really waiting to see how the Steelers finish to really kind of start to judge, like, okay, what's like, offensive line. We've talked about this before on the show. Like, offensive line's a major need for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll be throwing offensive line in there. Corner is as well. But, they're picking middle of the pack. And again, I want to see how the year ends. What kind of conversations are we having about the Pittsburgh Steelers before we really start to hone in on exactly who they might be drafting? But that conversation's coming.
Yeah, I love it or hate it. The Steelers' future is on Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, clearly.
So,
clearly, short term at least,
they're set at coach, front office. Like, developing Kenny Pickett is what keeps the Steelers back or moves the Steelers forward, and we'll have that conversation. So
we'll definitely dig into that as well as some other teams, of course, as we go throughout the offseason. Appreciate you guys listening. There we go. We'd love to hear from you guys on what your thoughts would be on the current 2023 NFL draft order. Let us know about whether you're worried, whether you're excited about where your team is currently slotted, the couple of games that they have left, some players that you would love to see for certain teams. We always love hearing that.
Yeah.
At Tampa Bay Trey, at Connor J. Rogers on Twitter is where you can hit us up. You can hit us up on Instagram as well. Or, of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, throw it down in the YouTube comments. We're reading all the YouTube comments as well. So we'll be able to see your thoughts there too. Any way that you want to get on the show, we would love to hear from you. A lot of times when you guys respond to some of the takes that we have, we'll read them on the show, or we'll get them into the conversation one way or the other, even outside of those SpeakPipe voicemails. If you want to do that, we didn't do voicemails this week, but speakpipe.com/NFLSE. You can go there, leave us a voicemail, and kind of as we go through those, we have shows where we'll throw up 8 or 10 of them, and we'll get into some of your takes. And if they're NFL draft related, obviously they're very evergreen, so we'll be able to get to those as well. As of right now, just because of the holiday schedule, this was the last podcast that we have on the schedule. Might be able to give you a bonus one, but I don't want to make you guys any promises that we can't keep. So as of right now, this is the last scheduled podcast that we have for this week. Maybe you'll get a third one. We'll see if we can squeeze it in there. But if not, of course, we will be back with everything on what matters most on Monday. Getting back to the regularly scheduled things with that podcast. And then we're getting back to the rankings as well. We're going to continue to go through our early rankings as we ramp up for the Shrine Bowl, the Senior Bowl, the Combine, all that good stuff. We want to give you guys a good baseline of who to watch out for, whose names to be highlighted as we get into these all-star events and everything and beyond. Connor, you got anything else before we get out of here?
No, that was a good summary. This is the time of year where it really picks up. We're closing out the NFL season. We're opening the doors to be fully immersed in the draft season. It all comes together. And you guys know that's the busiest time of the year for this show.
A lot of takes to get to, a lot of opinions, a lot of film, a lot of everything. This is truly the most wonderful time of the year because it is draft season. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. See you guys next week.